Video. Yeah, early morning. That's what I'll call it. I woke up early. That's what we'll call this. Yeah, 4 o'clock. It's not a great plan, but it just seems the body is not, it's in the wrong rhythm or something. But anyway, so this anarchy crap. Hey, there's some way to overview this whole thing and just say that this is some sort of virus or sickness of, human psychology. These obstacles to communication and, just destroying the, it's that whole thing of, destroying the good to have the perfect or something, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would somebody cling to silly words like this? Alright, so we're still, he calls himself an anarcho-syndicalist, I suspect. And then concedes, well, you can take the anarcho word off. Well, then why did you put it on? Why are you having this argument that I have to accept it? I don't know if I really give a crap about something called a syndicalist either. I don't want to belong to a syndicate. That doesn't sound like a good thing either. I mean, I'm not going to go Google it, but I mean, it's associated. The syndicates are basically another word for the mob. And certainly there's advantage in numbers. We know that. Gang warfare. I mean, that just sounds like the streets of New York or something. I mean, why would I think that's a good idea? Let's all be blues and reds and greens and pinks and, play to our separate advantages. So yeah, that's not a party I'm going to vote for. Put it on the ballot. Okay, Republican, Democrat, syndicalists. Yeah, I don't think so. Fairness first. Okay, now it sounds just too simple. Too uninteresting. Is that the problem? Fairness first. That just sounds, it's too girly or something. Can't do that. Right? But yeah, that's what I would say is, okay, let's just achieve fairness. And then if we need to do something else, let's do it. But I think if you do fairness, you probably won't have to do anything else. Probably all done, all work is done here. If you're going to achieve that. And, but, instead, word games. But anyway, he says he loves I love words and language. I mean, the morbid atheist posts the definition of anarchy. I mean, it's dismally horrid. He just totally ignores it. Pretends it's not the definition of the word. I love words and language. I don't think you do. Not in any good way. I mean, you love them and you love in some sort of possession way where I'm going to manipulate them and I'm going to get that bitch to, properly wash my dishes. I don't, you have no command of the language or respect for it. I just don't understand why this expectation that I should think this word can be used the way you're using it. It's nonsense. Like I said, when Noam Chomsky is pushed on this, I mean, all he's for is democracy all the way around. Just make everything a democratic decision. I mean, that's a little too simplistic for my taste, and certainly until you redefine what democracy means, it's way out of line. Having geographic representatives, who have stolen the representation of their neighbors and make the decisions, it doesn't sound like a great idea. So yeah, fix the democracy and then make everything democratic. But I don't think you have to go that far, personally. But regardless, I mean, so the rest of it is just arguments about policy. So yeah, well, he's supposed to be making some video about policy. I don't know if he told you that or not, but we'll see. But yeah, it's just there's just no point. You can't have a conversation when people are going to fixate on me respecting their band name or something. I just don't understand it. So anyway, Rubsy, who's apparently now pretty pissed off, did make a video, a very short one, and she accused me somewhere of deleting a comment of hers. I don't think I did that, so, but whatever. Her last comparison was to compare the word anarchy to communism, and you're just like, I don't understand. How can you think anything communistic would have something to do with anarchy? It just doesn't make any sense. I just don't know. I just don't know why. I just don't know why people would play with a word like this. I mean, I use the analogy of the N word. I mean, this is, you don't play with this crap. You bury it somewhere, and Anyway, I just don't get it. But this just seems to be what people are. People identify with things, and it's it's like the physics thing. It's these icons of physics. They just how many times did they name drop Einstein in the conversation about gravitational waves? And it wasn't true. I mean, what Einstein thought was possible and what they were saying they saw are not the same thing at all. They do it with gravitational lensing also. Proves Einstein. Einstein never said you could do what they're saying they're doing. Einstein didn't say you could invent dark matter. No, come on. So they put his name on it because, well, it's the name matters. The name matters. The very idea that it's a solved issue. We're bright. The whole universe is made of herky-jerky mishmash. And I guess what this is all some sort of distraction technique. Let's not say what we're really about. Let's pretend we're about something else. And if you're going to pretend to be about something called anarcho-syndicalism, and then you think I'm going to think that's a good thing, you got to be some kind of crazy. Unruly mobs. That's what anarcho-syndicalism means. Unruly mobs. I should want to live in that world? I don't think so. So anyway, I was going to read some of this, but there's no point. He just goes on miles and miles and miles of just pretending these words don't mean what they mean. Just totally ignoring that there's no way his preposterous definition is anything close to being in any kind of real world. It's only some sort of secret word, that they use in their secret club. And why would you do that? Again, why? Why? Yeah, there's no point. I mean, look what he calls syndicalism here. I don't know where he got this from, but an economic system in which workers own and manage industry. I'm sure if I go Google syndicate, that's not what I'm going to get. But anyway, I mean, it really doesn't, at this point, it really just doesn't matter. Certainly I'm for workers not having owners. But see, that's another thing. They talk of these great victories, the Mediterranean thing. And, you can't even get facts on this thing. Their own website that says they have 11,000 employees, and then the rest of the jargon on the internet is there's 80,000. One of the subsidiaries just went bankrupt, and apparently they had a whole bunch of loans from the government. That's a pretty slimy bit of business. So who's going to pay the bill for the failure? The democracy. Not any of this. None of the subsidiaries are going to do that. None of the syndicates are going to have to pay for the failure. It just doesn't quite sound like anything but mobs controlling the game for their advantage. Look, but I'm perfectly, like I said, I like the idea of not having capitalist owners. But even having owners inside of a business, I've explained this before, I might as well explain it again, but you can sort of understand that if you turn employees into owners, then they start thinking like owners. All right? And they start thinking, boy, I'd like another 2 weeks of vacation time. if we just put chalk in this, it'll look like milk. You know, we can just put some chalk in water, and it's white, and it, you know, it's close enough, right? So I mean, if we cut a little bit of a corner here, you know, we can save enough money to give me another 2 weeks vacation. That's what they start thinking like. Like any kind of way we can rip the customers off without them knowing we ripped them off, of course. So I can get some more vacation time. Cool. So they start thinking like that. And then what also happens is you start collecting shares, right? So people own, the workers own. And then they get to take their ownership home, so to speak. And now it's inherited ownership. And eventually you don't have shares to give away anymore. And they already ran into that problem. Because now they hire non-owners. You know, they hire people who aren't part of the syndicate to do the work. And so eventually it's just going to be a syndicate of owners who aren't doing any work, who just hire people at slave labor wages to do the work for them so they can gain profit. The same psychology, just, you know, it's you know, and you can say it's only 30 years old, well, whatever, 50 years old now. That failure is starting to reveal itself because that doesn't work. Owning is the bad idea in principle. It just is. And so you should avoid ownership wherever possible. I'm not saying you shouldn't own your living room. I just mean in principle, in the sense of the world. We don't need to have owners. And we certainly don't need people to own industry. The industry can run as an industry, a not-for-profit. That is, the money made goes into either a salary to the employees or it goes into the function of the business. And you always have to have a check against the employees' greed, which is consumers have to be given some power to control the workers. See, we're all workers, technically, should be. Obviously, you know, some of us don't have very productive jobs, or we don't have very consistent work, but by diagram we all have those two roles in life, what we produce and what we consume, and we should have voting rights as both consumers and as producers, and we get to exercise our vote as consumers when we are not self-interested. So that's the smart thing. The smart way to temper democracy is to control the idea of when you get to vote as a consumer and you're also going to benefit as a producer. When there's a conflict of interest, that's when the bug that is the human comes out and self-interest will win. So you have to have protections against that. And like I said, I just don't see any reason to have the employees own the business. That's just that's giving them all kinds of wrong incentives. You know, let them be fairly treated by the business. Fair. So again, fairness first. That would be a good name for a party. I think it's like I said, but it's not real stylish and doesn't sound complicated, and so I guess it just won't appeal to these people that need their truth with a bunch of exciting bullshit attached to it. So anyway, we will play this little video. Flowers, fat chick, etc. Well, I'm sorry about that. You know, I was making a joke. Sorry about that. I do have to control the boundaries of my snarkyisms. My apologies. So far, I agree completely. Great. And, oh, sorry. Yeah, I was being snarky. Okay, I don't think that's a good idea at all. Okay, pretty soon probably. Nope. Still waiting. Okay. I guess I'm not gonna get an argument. I'm just gonna get looked at. I'm getting the evil eye. Damn. She's an anarcho-voodooist. She's doing voodoo on me now. Damn, I'm really in trouble. Okay, I get that part. She gave me that little, yeah, fuck you, buddy. Who do you think you are?
Me.
Okay, here we go. Hi. Hi.
Flowers.
Flowers.
Nope. Flowers.
Well, I work on the video content. It's a little bit thin. I kind of like the style of it, though. I'm a big walk and talker fan, so I like the style. But yeah, just a little too thin on the content. I like the related videos; are kind of interesting. Yeah, I must say. Painted chick. Oh, well, sorry. Whatever that is. Fake orgasm chick. So I've seen this one before. Who the hell is that? I've seen her before. Who is that? Japanese women don't get older fat. Oh. She's the woman who doesn't get older fat. Oh, amazing. She's not like entirely Japanese though, right? I mean, she's one of those Amerijaps or what do they call them thing? Asia, there's a word for it. yeah. The blending of the whatever and such. Hey, wearing the green shirt. I'm wearing a blue shirt. I got my shirt color wrong. Dumbasses. Alright, so I guess that's it for this video. I thought I would need to say something, but I don't. So we'll see if there's anything else in video form. And then we'll move along. The results that YouTube gives me here are pretty thin. There are a couple of heroin church videos, but they're just so bad that I don't, I'll just end up making jokes. I mean, he, pisses on his own shoes in the video. So, I mean, fuck, if somebody's pissing themselves in the video, you're like, oh shit, I think I already won. Circumcision. All the subjects that come up here. It's very interesting, fascinating. Yeah, so I guess I'm done. Like I said, it's just sort of it almost gets back to the, what's his face, Got the Funk video where he got me thinking about some of this stuff where, what happened, what killed the atheist community, what kills the capacity for people to do anything. Even the March on Wall Street, why can't people do anything constructive or productive? And like I said, the real reason why the March on Wall Street couldn't do anything, because as soon as somebody said something policy-wise, like, let's abolish inheritance, half the crowd leaves. As soon as you decide to do something, let's put a cap on the wages of, useless government employees. Or even that 18th Amendment thing, the morbid atheist is doing. Force the government to live by the same laws we have to live with, that kind of thing. The crowd just starts getting thin. So as soon as you start doing something, they all start getting afraid that they're going to lose their cheat. Everybody's a cheater, and so they don't really want things to be fair because they all have an advantage that they're, twerking the screwdriver with in their advantage. Don't take away my mortgage deduction. Don't take away my, subsidies. So nobody's willing to throw everything in a pot and say, yeah, let's do it right. Let's start over and do it right. Anyway, just disappointing. But there's nothing you can do about it except say, I mean, there's, like I said, with people who are that rigidly attached to the word, I mean, you explain to them why the word is just fundamentally offensive to me. I mean, as a progressive, logical thinker, to tell you that anarchy, that's just saying, let's be niggers. you know, as a black man, you should understand, I'm really not going to join a group that says, let's be niggers. You should be able to understand, I'm just not going to sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm for chaos. I'm for liberating all of the human vice. I'm for, you know, exploiting all the worst aspects of human nature. No. I'm not for any of that shit. That's what's got us in a mess, is greed and selfishness and nepotism, which is a kind of bigotry, a kind of racism. Yeah, that's why the world sucks. It's because people's heads are full of that shit. So no. So for you not to be able to appreciate why, I'm just never going to be marching under a banner of anarchy. It's a stupid, idiotic concept. Breaking is not the game. The game is fixing. And anarchy is never a pair of pliers or a screwdriver. Or, it has nothing to do with fixing. Anyway. Yeah, you're just throwing pizza crust. So, and like I said, I have to just wonder about your motives. Why are you that glued? I mean, I know you have it tattooed on your arm, so you're kind of committed to it, but I just don't understand this. You can't just cut that off. And then you're left with, again, syndical. Why would you, why would you think this is a word that somebody should say, gee, oh yeah, I love the idea of being part of a syndicate. No. Yeah, and the funny thing is he mocks Stefan Molyneux, and there's really no difference. I mean, DRO is basically a way of, you know, you're choosing your syndicate, you're choosing your law firm, your enforcement agency, and everybody just chooses what mob they're going to belong to. And then the mobs go to war with each other. I mean, that doesn't sound like Plan A. So, I guess that's enough. So it just makes no sense at all. And a lot of this is tied to the whole zeitgeist movement, so that's another, I guess that's part of it too. Some of these are zeitgeisters. And even that was just, what's this zeitgeist stuff? Why are we using words nobody knows what they mean? You just can't say something like, for the futurers, or something, you know. And then, you know, they have like this resource economy thing or something. You're saying, you know, right, we're just going to voluntarily be fair. We voluntarily won't take more fish when we go fishing. Everybody will just voluntarily not cheat. It's just so unrealistic. And I guess it's another fundamental part where you're just saying, look, we know the world. If there's always going to be jobs that are unpleasant. Work is work. You know, doing some of this physics stuff has been really tedious, but you have to really think, and it hurts. You know, to get your mind clear enough to do what you need to do. It's painful. And there's so many jobs that are just plainly unpleasant. And, you know, people have to be incentivized to do this stuff. You can't just rely on, oh, we're all voluntarily do the best we can. I'd like it to be that simple, but it just isn't going to be. And I don't think there's anything wrong with recognizing that some jobs are a lot shittier than others. And they should be paid better for the shittiness of it. They're dangerous. Yeah. Fuck. No, it's not that complicated. So anyway, enough. It's disappointing. Because it just doesn't take a logical argument. You have to do more than just make a logical argument why something's not the best solution, or why this or why that. Apparently you have to use magic words. And you have to even just say it in magic words. How, well, that will be against the syndicalistic notion that we're after, and the idea. It's kind of anti-syndicalistic to, you know, have a direct democracy where you have some kind of group of people who decide what gets on the ballot, and then blah, 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 you know, I don't, maybe you have to do it that way. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to indulge in whatever that is. Some sort of bonics, you know, whatever, deceive a bonics. I'm not going to manipulate and distort and pervert words and their proper use for just, you know, merit. I'm word merit. I'm for words doing what they're supposed to do by merit of the words. You know, not how pretty it sounds or how poetic it is. So anyway, alright, now that's enough. Fuck it. So, till next time, and such.